How's it going, YouTube? It's Runic, and today I have another little mock draft here. I was kind of bored today, so I just made one up here. I got the simulated lottery order from tankathon.com, and the Spurs ended up getting the first overall pick in my simulation. And with that first overall pick, I'm pretty sure that they're going to take Chet Holmgren. I don't think they'll take Jabari Smith, but it's a really hard toss-up between the two of them. But I think Chet just brings more to the table as a 7-footer. And he's been shooting around 40% this season for college, and I just think that's a little too impressive to not be the first pick with how well he blocks shots and does other things for his team. And he's playing on a really good team as well. High impact player as a freshman. You can't ignore that. I think the Spurs just get a really good guy here with Chet, and he also fills a hole with the big man position the Spurs really need. So yeah, the Orlando Magic got the second pick here, and they got Jabari. They're going to draft Jabari Smith. This is pretty clearly the second guy in this draft class that maybe Jabari Smith is better than Chet. It's hard to tell at this point. They're both pretty similar in talent. But Jabari Smith's a lot better of a shooter than Chet Holmgren is. But he's not as good of a finisher, and he's a little shorter as well. But he's also a really good defender. And his really only flaw, in my opinion, is his finishing around the basket. But he's a really good shooter. He's almost like a Klay Thompson, but 6'10". He's just that good at shooting. It's almost jaw-dropping how good he is. The Pistons, though, they get the third pick here, and they're going to pick Paolo. Paolo Banchero is easily the third best player in this draft class. Maybe not. Well, it's really hard to tell, but they don't really need to draft Jaden Ivey, considering that they have Cade Cunningham from last year. It just doesn't seem. It seems a little redundant to go guard to guard back to back, but it wouldn't necessarily surprise me. But I just think Banchero's the guy here for them. And Houston's going to get the fourth pick, and they're going to go Jaden Ivey. This is a pretty easy pick, in my opinion, regardless of the fact that they have Kevin Porter, Josh Christopher, and Jalen Green. I don't think that matters. Jaden Ivey is just too good to pass up. He just reminds me too much of Ja Morant. His out of the gym athleticism, his shooting ability, it's just all too much to not notice and not be in the top four. Jaden Ivey is definitely going to go in the top four, in my opinion. No questions asked, no matter who's drafting him. I think he's just that good of a player. He fits in anything. He's a basketball player, positionless basketball player. You can slot him in anywhere and he'll just be a baller. I think at 5, I got the OKC Thunder, and they're going to take AJ Griffin. I like how young he is and how good of a shooter he is and how big of a body he has. He's just so talented. He has a lot of potential, and I think that's the kind of guy OKC is going to go for here at the 5th pick. And the 6th pick goes to the Pacers, and I really think that they're going to go with Keegan Murray here, especially considering that they traded for Tyrese Halliburton, and they also drafted Chris Duarte last year. They like their experienced guys, and I think that Keegan Murray really gives them that extra year of experience in college, and he's just been popping off lately. He's been dropping 30 bombs left and right in their conference tournament, and he's just really too good of a player to not go in the top 7. And for Sacramento, they get the 7th pick, and I think that they're going to go Ben Mathurin out of Arizona. He's a tall guard, lots of jumping out of the gym athleticism, and he's a phenomenal shooter. Just recently, he popped off for like 27 points in his conference tournament game, and he's just really been solid this year for this really good Arizona team. And it's you just can't ignore it, how good of a player he is, how big of a contributor he is on such a good team. And I think he's definitely a really high player in this draft. And especially considering that Sacramento likes their experienced guys more than their unexperienced guys, I think Ben Mathurin with that extra year of experience goes really well in Sacramento. Portland's going to end up getting the 8th pick, and with this pick, they're going to go with Jalen Duren, in my opinion. He's just a tall presence in the paint. He's going to be a monster, an animal. Portland needs a guy like that. They don't have guys that have a passion like Jalen Duren does. I think he's really just works well for this Portland team. And Portland's also going to get the 9th pick via New Orleans. This one was really tough, but I think they're going to go with Dyson Daniels out of the Ignite. He's definitely, in my opinion, the best player out of the Ignite. And he's really underrated, in my opinion, how well of a player he is. He's very well-rounded defensive and offensive game. And I just think he's really has a high floor. And he's a pretty safe pick for the Trailblazers. Because if you have 2 first-round picks, especially in the lottery, you don't want to miss on both of them. And the 10th pick goes to the Knicks. They're just going to go Johnny Davis here. He's the best player available, plain and simple. You could argue Portland should have taken him. I just didn't think that they should have Anthony Simons and Johnny Davis on the same team. And Dyson Daniels just worked better for them, in my opinion. And Johnny Davis, New York Knicks, they just need bucket getters, and that's exactly who Johnny Davis is. He's a bucket getter, certified. End of discussion. And for the 11th pick, this one goes to the Wizards. And I think they're going to go with the guard, TyTy Washington. He's a little short, but that doesn't really matter. He's really too talented and crafty to not get drafted in the lottery, especially for a team that needs a guard like the Wizards. I think he's a really good fit here. At 12, the pick is going to go to the Memphis Grizzlies via the Lakers. And I think they need to go for a really experienced and a really great player in Ochai Agbaji. He's been shooting 3 at an incredible clip this year, and he just has jump out of the gym athleticism that I didn't really know he had last year, but he's just really good. His shooting stroke has gotten way better than it was last year, and he can just provide a lot for this Memphis team. 13 pick goes to Atlanta. There's a lot of guys they could go with here, but I think they should go with a secondary creator in Marjon Beauchamp. I think he'd fit really well. Maybe come off the bench for them next season. I don't know. It's hard to say. Rookies have very limited roles at first, but if they start playing well, they can really help their team in a playoff run. And a guy like Marjon Beauchamp could really come off the bench and create for Atlanta and kind of maybe bring some ease to Trae Young. And lastly, Charlotte Hornets have the 14th pick of the lottery, the last pick. And this is really a toss-up pick here because you can go with a lot of different guys, but I think the guy who's better than everyone else is Tari Eason. I think he's better than Sohan and Kendall Brown because he's a better shooter. And I just don't think that the Hornets should draft Walker Kessler after trading for Montrezl Harrell and Mason Plumlee last year, as well as drafting J.G. Thor and Kai Jones. It's just a lot to go after with big guys that they got last year, and it just kind of crowds the front court even more than it already is. And I like Eason at that small forward position. Brings a lot to it. Brings a lot to a poor defensive team as a really good defender, and he's also a good shooter. He can work well with LaMelo off the bench. That's it. That's the last pick of the mock draft here. I'm just going to end it at the end of the lottery. I don't really want to go any further than that. I really liked this mock draft, and I think it worked out well. And yeah, it was really fun. That's it. I'm done. Peace out.